When you are not aligned, life feels like a constant resistance. You move, but you are dragged. You try, but you fail. You push, but the world pushes back harder. But alignment is different. Alignment does not mean everything outside changes. It means that you change. When your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions stand together, not in conflict, the universe begins to respond. This response is not magical, it is natural. Just as a river flows downhill without effort, so too does life flow when you align. The first gift the universe gives you is clarity. Suddenly you no longer ask, "What should I do?" Instead you simply do, and the action feels right. The second gift is energy. You stop wasting your strength fighting your own doubts. Every step you take feels lighter because you are no longer divided inside yourself. The third gift is opportunity. People, circumstances, and even challenges appear not as obstacles but as teachers. What once blocked you now builds you. The fourth gift is peace. When you are aligned, the noise of comparison, fear, and uncertainty fades. You stop measuring your path with someone else's ruler. And the final gift is expansion. You realize you are not separate from the universe but part of it. To align yourself is to align with life itself. So remember, you do not need to force the universe. You need only to align yourself. Then the universe moves with you, not against you. Clarity is not something that comes from outside. You cannot buy it, you cannot borrow it, and no one can hand it to you. True clarity emerges when the storm inside of you has settled. Many people believe that confusion comes because the world is complicated, because there are too many choices, too many paths, too many voices. But the real confusion does not live in the world, it lives in us. It is born when your thoughts pull you in one direction, your emotions pull you in another, and your actions do not match either. This inner conflict is what clouds the mind. To align yourself means to bring your thoughts, emotions, and actions into harmony. And the moment this alignment begins, the fog of confusion starts to lift. Like a lake that has been disturbed by stones thrown into it. Once it is left in stillness, the water becomes clear again. The clarity was always there, only hidden by turbulence. When clarity arises, the most powerful shift is that you no longer seek answers in panic. Instead of forcing decisions, you allow them to unfold. Think of an archer. If his bow is misaligned, no matter how strong his arms are, the arrow will not fly true. He may release it with all his effort, but it will miss the target. But when alignment comes, the same arrow with less force reaches exactly where it is intended. Clarity works in the same way. It does not make life easier by removing every obstacle, but it gives you vision that is straight and undisturbed. Suddenly you know what must be done, not because someone told you, but because your inner compass points to it without hesitation. This is why clarity is a gift the universe gives you once you align. It is not given as an external reward, but as a reflection of your inner state. The universe simply mirrors the order you create within yourself. Another dimension of clarity is that it cuts through noise. In modern life there are infinite distractions, social comparisons, external opinions, the constant flood of information. If your mind is not aligned, these distractions will control you. You will wake up in the morning already filled with the voices of others. One moment you want to walk left. Another moment you are pulled right. By the end of the day you are exhausted, not because you walked too far, but because you walked in circles. Alignment changes this. When thoughts, emotions, and actions stand as one, you stop chasing every noise. You begin to listen to the deeper signal underneath it all, and that signal does not come from outside. It comes from the stillness within. Clarity then is not about having fewer distractions, it is about becoming unshaken by them. Like a mountain standing in the middle of storms, you remain steady while the winds of life pass around you. Most importantly, clarity gives you courage. Fear thrives in confusion. When you do not know which path is right, you hesitate, and in hesitation fear grows stronger. But when alignment brings clarity, even if the path ahead is difficult, you walk it with strength. This does not mean you suddenly know the entire future. Clarity is not about predicting every outcome, it is about knowing the next step with confidence. Imagine walking in the dark with a lantern. The lantern does not show you the whole road, it only shows you a few steps ahead, but that is enough. Each step reveals the next, and slowly the entire journey unfolds. This is the gift of clarity from alignment. It transforms the unknown from a threat into an invitation. You no longer run in every direction seeking answers. You move with certainty, one step at a time, trusting the flow of life to guide you further. Energy is life itself. Every breath, every step, every thought you carry is an expression of energy. Yet most people live in a state of exhaustion, not because they work too hard, but because their energy leaks in countless directions. A divided mind is like a leaking vessel. No matter how much water you pour into it, it cannot stay full. This is the condition of many lives. Thoughts say one thing, emotions resist, and actions stumble in a third direction. The result is not only confusion but also fatigue. You wake up in the morning already tired, not because of the day's demands, but because of the silent war happening inside. Alignment, however, stops this war. It seals the vessel. It turns scattered leaks into a focused stream. Suddenly, the same energy that once disappeared into doubt, hesitation, and conflict is now available to you in its full strength. And when this happens, life itself feels lighter, even if the circumstances outside remain unchanged. When you are aligned, action does not require as much force. Think of a wheel that is balanced correctly. It turns smoothly, with little effort. But when the wheel is misaligned, even the strongest push cannot keep it moving easily. The same is true for human energy. Misalignment forces you to push harder for small results. You feel as if life is a constant uphill climb. But once aligned, even difficult tasks feel natural. Energy is no longer spent fighting resistance within, it flows directly into what you are doing. This is why aligned people often seem to have more strength, more stamina, more presence. It is not that they are physically superior, it is that they are not wasting their inner resources in constant contradiction. They do not spend half their strength doubting themselves before taking a step, they simply step. And in that simplicity, energy multiplies. There is also a profound connection between alignment and the quality of energy you radiate. A person who is divided carries a restless vibration, others can sense it. You may have noticed this yourself. Being near someone who is uncertain, conflicted, or insincere can drain your own energy. But being near someone who is aligned, who speaks what they believe and lives what they speak, is energizing. Such a person does not consume energy from their surroundings, they contribute to it. Alignment transforms you into a source rather than a sink. Instead of constantly borrowing strength from the world, you generate it. This shift is subtle, but life-changing. It means that your presence alone begins to uplift situations, attract cooperation, and inspire movement. Energy no longer leaks away, it expands outward in waves that touch others. The most powerful aspect of energy gained through alignment is the freedom it brings. When inner conflict ends, a new vitality rises. You feel capable of facing challenges not with struggle, but with flow. Work becomes less about survival and more about expression. Each action carries purpose, and because purpose is clear, the energy behind it becomes unstoppable. Imagine running water. If scattered into drops, it evaporates quickly, but when gathered into a river, it cuts through mountains. That is the gift of energy that alignment gives you. It gathers all of your scattered fragments into one living force. And with that, you begin to realize that energy was never lacking, you were simply misdirecting it. Once aligned, you stop wasting your strength and instead allow it to carry you forward as naturally as the river carries itself to the sea. Opportunities are not created by chance. They are not accidents that suddenly arrive at your doorstep. Opportunities are always present, always waiting, like seeds resting beneath the soil. The reason we often fail to notice them is because our mind is not aligned with them. Just as a radio can only receive the station it is tuned to, we can only recognize the opportunities that match the frequency of our alignment. When you are scattered in thought, torn in emotion, and inconsistent in action, the universe may offer you countless openings, but they pass unnoticed, like ships disappearing into the fog. However, when alignment takes place, the fog lifts. You begin to notice the signs around you, the people who appear at just the right moment, the chances that once seemed invisible. The opportunities were always there. What changed was your ability to see them. When alignment settles within, the right people begin to enter your path. Some call this luck, others call it coincidence, but in truth, it is neither. Life responds to the energy you radiate. If you carry confusion, you meet those who mirror confusion. If you carry alignment, you meet those who amplify it. This is why aligned individuals seem to attract mentors, allies, and companions who strengthen their journey. These meetings are not forced, they unfold naturally. Imagine walking on a mountain trail. If you wander off the path, you may walk alone for hours struggling against the terrain. But when you are aligned with the trail itself, you inevitably meet others walking the same way. In this sense, alignment places you on the road where meaningful encounters are inevitable. The people who come into your life at that point are not random. They are reflections of the alignment within you. Opportunities also come in the form of lessons, and this is often the part most people resist. When you are misaligned, challenges feel like punishments. You ask, why is this happening to me? And struggle against every difficulty. But once aligned, you begin to see challenges differently. The same obstacle that once felt like an enemy becomes a teacher. Alignment allows you to recognize the deeper purpose behind difficulties. A closed door is not rejection, it is redirection. A delay is not failure, it is preparation. When you are aligned, life stops being a battlefield and becomes a classroom. Every situation, pleasant or painful, offers a lesson that expands your capacity. And because you are no longer fighting the lesson, you receive it fully, which opens the way for new opportunities to follow. This is why aligned people often grow faster in times of hardship. They do not resist the lesson, but absorb it. And in doing so, they transform obstacles into stepping stones. Finally, alignment shapes the very path you walk. Instead of wandering endlessly, trying every road, you find that life begins to arrange itself in ways that support your journey. The universe seems to place you in the right place at the right time, not because it suddenly favors you, but because you are no longer resisting its flow. When a river is blocked, water becomes stagnant. When the blockage is removed, the river finds its natural course again. Alignment removes the blockages within you, fear, doubt, hesitation, and as a result, the current of life carries you smoothly toward opportunities you could not have planned. Doors open without forcing, connections happen without chasing, and progress feels less like struggle and more like unfolding. In this way, opportunities appear not as extraordinary gifts, but as natural companions of alignment. They were always there, waiting for you to walk in rhythm with the universe. Peace is not found in the absence of noise, but in the presence of alignment. Many people search for peace outside of themselves, through possessions, through recognition, through comfort. Yet, the more they chase it, the further it slips away. This is because peace cannot be created by adding more to your life. It is revealed by removing the conflicts within you. Comparison is one of the greatest thieves of peace. When you measure yourself constantly against the progress of others, you abandon your own rhythm. You may achieve much, but still feel restless, for your eyes are always turned outward, searching for approval. Alignment dissolves this. When thoughts, emotions, and actions move in harmony, your focus returns inward. You stop asking, "Am I ahead of them?" and instead ask, "Am I aligned with myself?" The answer to that question determines peace. And when the answer is yes, contentment arises naturally, regardless of how others live. Fear, too, loses its grip when peace settles within. Fear thrives on inner division. It whispers doubts, creates hesitation, and feeds on the tension between what you want to do and what you actually do. When misaligned, fear multiplies because there is no anchor, but alignment acts as that anchor. It grounds you. When your heart, mind, and body move as one, you are no longer paralyzed by uncertainty. Fear may still appear, but it cannot dominate you, for you are not fragmented. It is like a storm passing over a mountain. The winds may rage, but the mountain does not move. Peace is not about never facing fear. It is about facing it with stillness, unshaken by its voice. This is why aligned individuals seem calm in the midst of chaos. They are not free from storms, but they have become the mountain that endures them. Peace also brings a different quality of life, simplicity. In misalignment, people complicate everything: choices, relationships, ambitions. They create endless layers of thought, wondering what if and what will others think. The result is heaviness, a life weighed down by unnecessary burdens. Alignment removes this weight. It does not make life shallow, it makes life clear. You see what matters and release what does not. This simplicity does not mean living with less, it means living with less confusion. In such simplicity, even small actions feel fulfilling: a meal, a walk, a conversation. Each becomes richer when you are not pulled in 1,000 directions. The peace that arises from alignment is not the peace of escaping life, but of engaging with it fully, without inner resistance. You stop living as a divided person, and begin living as a whole one. That wholeness itself is peace. Finally, peace allows you to rest in your own being. Many people do not realize how restless they are until they taste true alignment. They live as if chased by time, by expectations, by the endless demand to be more. But when alignment brings peace, the chase ends. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself endlessly. You recognize that your worth does not depend on comparison, that your path does not need to resemble another's, and that your journey unfolds at its own pace. This recognition is the deepest form of freedom. Contentment is not the absence of desire, it is the absence of the desperation behind desire. You may still grow, still strive, but you do so without the constant noise of insufficiency, and in that quiet, peace settles. It does not arrive with fanfare, it comes like the soft settling of snow, gentle, steady, covering everything in stillness. Expansion is not about becoming bigger in the eyes of the world. It is about becoming deeper in the awareness of yourself and broader in your connection with life. When you live in misalignment, your world feels small, confined to the limits of your own doubts, fears, and insecurities. You feel separate from others, from nature, even from the universe itself. This sense of separation creates isolation, and in isolation you shrink. But when alignment takes place, this illusion of separation begins to dissolve. You realize you are not a fragment, but part of a much larger whole. Just as a wave is not separate from the ocean, you are not separate from life. Expansion begins with this realization. It is not the addition of something new, it is the removal of the walls that kept you small. Once the walls are gone, your being naturally extends outward, connecting to the flow that has always been there. This expansion expresses itself first in awareness. You begin to notice the subtle connections between events, the hidden harmony beneath apparent chaos. Situations that once seemed random begin to reveal patterns, and you see that your life is not isolated from the whole but woven into it. The timing of encounters, the unfolding of challenges, the arrival of opportunities, all begin to appear less accidental and more purposeful. Alignment sharpens your perception, and with sharper perception you notice the threads that connect your path to the larger fabric of existence. This realization expands your mind. You stop seeing yourself as a separate player trying to fight against the current of life, and you start recognizing that you are the current itself. The expansion is not about controlling more, it is about understanding more, seeing further, and feeling more deeply. Expansion also touches the heart. When you are aligned, empathy naturally grows. You no longer see others only as competitors or strangers, but as reflections of the same life that flows through you. The joy of another no longer threatens you, it uplifts you. The pain of another no longer repels you, it calls forth compassion. This shift in perspective transforms how you relate to people, to animals, to the earth itself. You feel connected not out of obligation, but out of recognition, the recognition that the same energy that beats your heart also moves the stars. In this recognition, your capacity for love, kindness, and service expands. You no longer ask, "What can I take from life?" but "What can I contribute to it?" And the more you give, the more you discover that expansion is endless, for giving connects you even more deeply to the flow of existence. Most importantly, expansion changes how you experience yourself. Before alignment, you may have believed you were defined only by your name, your role, your possessions, or your achievements. These are small containers for something much larger. When you align, the edges of these containers begin to break, and you realize you are not confined to them. You are not just a profession, not just a title, not just a story from the past. You are part of a living, breathing universe that is constantly unfolding. This realization does not make you arrogant, it makes you humble, for expansion shows you both your smallness and your vastness. You are a single note, and yet you belong to the entire symphony. You are a drop, and yet you carry the essence of the ocean. Alignment allows you to live in this paradox, small yet infinite, individual yet universal. And in this living, you expand beyond the narrow self into the boundless flow of existence. So in the end, alignment is not about becoming someone new, it is about returning to what you already are. It is not about forcing life to bend in your favor, but about bending yourself back into harmony with life. When clarity arises, when energy flows, when opportunities unfold, when peace settles, and when expansion happens, you begin to see that the universe was never against you. It was always waiting for you to align with it. The truth is simple: the world outside reflects the order inside. If you live divided, you will experience division everywhere. But if you live aligned, the universe itself becomes your ally. You will find yourself walking not in resistance, but in rhythm, like the wave that rises and falls with the ocean, like the breath that enters and leaves in balance. So ask yourself not when will the world change for me, but instead, when will I change for the world? For the moment you choose alignment, the universe responds. It does not need to be convinced. It does not need to be forced. It simply mirrors the harmony you cultivate within. And in this mirroring, life ceases to be a struggle. It becomes a flow. And you no longer lost, no longer searching. Discover that what you sought outside was always inside, waiting for you to align.